solve the Solvay process. Need to look at very well because time has gone since it was set in paper 2. That's a process, step by step, and it will help, I'm sure.
First, for you to understand the materials in that specific process, the raw materials you must know the catalyst. So let us go straight for solving, and then we will talk about the other processes later. The flowchart below summarizes the steps involved in the production of. So the Solvay process is basically for the production of sodium carbonate. So this diagram answer every question before looking at the question. So most of the people, or most of this, we have different reaction starts is at the carbonator. Where is the carbonator? So some questions you will not find the carbonator. You will not be given the name of the carbonator like this. So what do you do? Ammonia gas mixed with sodium chloride brine to form ammoniaco. To know that these are the starting materials. So when a diagram like this, you look at where the process begins, right? So in case you don't have you should see where the point, the arrow pointing towards the from where the ammoniaco brine is getting into somewhere to that chamber that is ammoniaco brine is entering. That one is obviously the carbonator, because ammoniaco brine, which is a concentrated sodium chloride, so where this mixed ammoniaco brine is entering, that is the carbonator. Very important to note. Where is the brine entering? That one is the carbonator. Carbonate is getting in. Where is carbon dioxide coming from? From the kiln. What is happening in the kiln? Here, lime is calcium carbonate is being hit plus calcium carbonate. Calcium carbonate, when you hit calcium oxide, and then carbonate into the carbonator. So in the carbonator, two reactions occurs that takes place in the carbonator. You should know it is ammonia, right? Once it gets, this mixture is ammoniaco brine. Once it gets into the carbonator, it combines with carbon dioxide plus ammonia, the carbonator. But we can write this reaction. This reaction occurs in two steps. We are going to look at that. Now we are in the carbonator. We have formed this. This one is a solid, and later filtration occurs. So this is the process, physical process that occurs, filtration. So here there is a filter. The solid, which is sodium, remains, right? Or this, okay, this one is going this way. So after filtration, ammonium chloride goes this way, and then sodium hydrogen carbonate comes down here. This is sodium hydrogen carbonate. Sodium hydrogen carbonate undergoes heating. This one is combustion. Sodium carbonate plus water plus carbon dioxide. So we have finished here. We have obtained the final product, this sodium carbonate. The next one, ammonia generator. Ammonia generator into the ammonia generator. So what happens in the ammonia? There is calcium. We obtain slaking. That is calcium oxide plus water. It is called slaking. So here it forms calcium hydroxide. So calcium chloride. So the reaction here now, ammonium chloride combines with calcium. The byproduct is calcium chloride. The water is recycled. So the carbon dioxide obtained. So once you go now to the questions, you realize that you have answered everything that you have answered most of the questions. Name the process illustrated. It is called the Solvay process. That's another thing we need. This one is to give us CO2. So it is limestone is a raw material. Another one is we need sodium. Even water is needed to mix this to form the brine. Therefore, water is another raw material. Write equation for the two reactions that occur. Hydrogen carbonate. That is the first equation. Now this ammonium hydrogen carbonate formed react chloride. So this is the first equation. The second equation that occurs is that now this sodium hydrogen, this ammonia hydrogen carbonate combines with sodium chloride to form sodium hydrogen. The equations, you write the process. We recycle carbon 4 oxide and ammonia is recycled. Even water is recycled. Solid X is calcium oxide. Question burning. Write an equation for the reaction that occurs. Solution Z. Solution Z is ammonium is calcium chloride. So the reaction side forming ammonia gas, which is regenerated, plus water plus calcium chloride, which is now called here Z. Solution Z. State two other uses of sodium carbonate. So in the Solvay process, you must know the uses of the sodium carbonate. Why is sodium carbonate being generated in the Solvay process? What are the uses of it? So one of them is softening hard water, but you have been asked no apart from this, so you don't have to include this one. In glass, it is used in glass making. It is used in a paper industry. The sodium hydrogen carbonate formed in the process. Questions that follow. Now you look at the question. They have been given us chamber 1, chamber 2, chamber 3, chamber 4, chamber 5. So what? But from the raw materials start giving, we see ammonia to chamber 1. Very important. Ammonia is the first raw materials. When a process is taking place, we must start with a raw material. My friend, ammonia is getting into this chamber. Sodium chloride is the one which combines with carbon dioxide to form brine. Now this ammoniac brine is getting to chamber, and you can see clear that in chamber 2 carbon 4 in. Right? So definitely this one is the carbonator, where carbon dioxide getting into is the carbonator. Therefore now ammoniac brine getting into chamber 2 the carbon dioxide for the reaction to occur. After that, a process occurs here, which is filtration. Right? Filtration. We have the solid, which is sodium near and here. The two products in the carbonator, two products that are formed there. So after this separates out, and this one goes to the roaster. And the chamber 3, we are seeing calcium hydroxide getting into it. So this one is the ammonia generated. What we are going to do? Calcium chloride. D is calcium chloride. I know the reaction which is taking is ammonium chloride. The substances A, B, C, D. So A, ammoniac what? Brine. Ammoniac brine is a mixture of ammonia. C, we have already done that. That's why if you have done the name, but you are asking the name, therefore you should give the name. D is calcium chloride. Calcium chloride. A, B, C. So B is not here. So B was mistakenly came here. So B, very easy, very simple. That's how you score your marks. Write equation for the reaction taking place in chamber 3 and chamber 5. Chamber 3 is the ammonia generator. We know ammonia calcium hydroxide to generate ammonia first, to generate water, and then the byproduct, which is calcium chloride. Gas, liquid, aqueous. We have done with that equation. Chamber 5, to give sodium carbonate, this one, water, and carbon 4. So sodium plus CO2 plus what? Plus water. This one is a solid gas. Chamber 4 is filtration. So the physical filtration. Number 5, the physical there is drying. This sodium hydrogen carbonate is dried then heated, therefore the physical is drying. Carbon 4 oxide for Solvay process. It is from limestone. Limestone is calcium carbonate. This also comes from coke. Those are the two sources of the carbon 4 oxide used in the Solvay process. Look at the raw materials where they are getting in, provide us with carbon 4 is carbon 4. So we are adding water. What is remaining from the reaction with the limestone is calcium hydroxide, waiting solution C. Combines with solution C in this chamber, and this is the chamber we call ammonia. Now we isolate the carbonator. Why? Carbon 4 oxide is getting into it, ammonia is getting into it, so this one is the carbonator. So after the carbonator, we form sodium hydrogen carbonate and ammonium chloride, which is being filtered here. The solution, because you have been seeing, solution is ammonia, and the solid is sodium hydrogen carbonate to give us this. So it's ammonia that is produced here, ammonia generator going up. And even when you don't know that generated here, you should know that this is ammoniacal brine. Then this is sodium chloride. So sodium chloride combines with ammoniacal brine for oxide. Gas B is ammonia gas. Name chloride. Solid D. Write equation for the reaction in tower B. Tower B is the carbonator. Now this one is the general equation. You should not cram that. You should know that in ammonia, out first it is ammoniacal that is with ammonia gas mixed with water, right? And then into the carbonator they find is carbon 4, ammonium chloride. This one is a solid, this one is aqueous. We are done. That is a reaction in the carbonator. R, chamber R, we know there we have calcium hydroxide plus ammonium chloride, the byproduct. And that is all. Name the product. This one is T. This is T. The only byproduct in the Solvay process is calcium chloride. is used as a drying agent. Two substances that are recycled, CO2, 4 oxide. Ammonia is recycled. Ammonia being originated here, it is recycled. First thing you must know is the raw material process. The raw materials you must know. The next thing you should know, those processes that require catalyst, you must know the catalyst used in that process. But for the Solvay, we don't use a catalyst. So let us go straight for Solvay, and then we will talk about the other processes later. The flowchart below summarizes the steps involved in the production of sodium carbonate. So the Solvay process is basically for the production of sodium carbonate. Use it to answer the question that follows. So before even you go to the question, you should be able to analyze this diagram or this diagram and even answer every question before they don't know where to begin the process, and that becomes a challenge. Now, we have different. Where is the carbonator? So some questions you will not find the carbonator. You will not be given the name of the carbonator like this. So what do? We know the raw materials here. We have ammonia gas mixed with sodium chloride brine to form ammoniacal brine. To know that these are the starting materials. So when a diagram like this, you look at where is ammonia and our ammoniacal brine getting into. So, and that's, you should know that's where the process begins, right? So pointing towards the from where the ammoniacal brine is getting into somewhere to that chamber that is ammoniacal brine is entering, that one is obviously the carbonator, because ammoniacal brine, which is a mixture of ammonia brine is sodium chloride, which is concentrated sodium chloride. So what's the ammoniacal brine entering? That one is the carbonator. Carbonate, after ammoniacal getting into, there must be a carbon dioxide killing. What is happening in the killing? Here, lime is calcium carbonate, is being heated. When calcium carbonate for oxide and calcium oxide. So here, this solid is supposed to be solid X here. So what is coming down here, oxide enters into the carbonator. So in the carbonator, two reactions occurs. We can write it in a general, and then or we can write them the reaction separately. So the reaction that takes place in the carbonator, you should know it is ammonia plus water called brine. Once it gets into the carbonator, it combines with carbon dioxide from the killing to form hydrogen carbonate plus ammonium. Occurs in two steps. We are going to look at that. Now we are in the carbonator. We have formed this as a solid, and this one is an aqueous. The gas. So this is the process. This is heating. This one is combustion. Process W is burning or heating to form sodium carbonate plus water plus. Finished here, we have obtained the ammonia generator. So what happens in the this calcium oxide here? This calcium oxide gets reacted with water. We call it slaking. That is calcium oxide plus water. It is called slaking. So here it calcium hydroxide. So calcium hydroxide comes in to this chamber where it meets ammonium chloride combines with calcium hydroxide, generating ammonia, and the calcium chloride comes as the byproduct. The byproduct is calcium chloride. The water is recycled. So the carbon dioxide obtained here is recycled back to the carbonator. It's taken back to the carbonator. So once you go now to the questions, you realize that you have answered everything that you have answered. Limestone is called calcium carbonate, chloride, and another one we need ammonia. So these are the major raw materials that we need. Even water is needed. The equation for the two reactions that occur in the carbonator. The first reaction is that ammonia reacts with carbon 4 in the carbonator. Hydrogen formed reacts with sodium chloride to form sodium hydrogen chloride, to form sodium hydrogen carbonate and ammonium chloride. This ammonia hydrogen carbonate combines with sodium chloride to form ammonium chloride, which is aqueous. Plus question asking the two separate equations, you write them like that. Name two substances that are recycled. Substances that are recycled in this is at a major, even water is. So the next is calcium oxide. It's combustion, burning. It's calcium chloride. So the reaction is that ammonium chloride combines with calcium hydroxide plus water plus calcium chloride, which is now called here Z, solution Z. Apart from softening carbonate being generated in the Solvay process, what are the uses of it? So one of them is softening hard water, but you have been asked no apart from this, so you don't have to include this in glass making. So apart from this, there are still other uses, so you should know the uses of sodium carbonate and the sodium hydrogen carbonate formed in the process. The flowchart questions that follow. Now you look at the question, they have been given us chamber 1, chamber 2, chamber 3, chamber 4, chamber 5. What? But from the raw material, start giving the chambers the names. The ammonia getting into chamber 1. Very important. Ammonia is the first raw materials. When a process is taking place, we must. So ammonia is getting into this chamber, combines with carbon dioxide to form. So if they are getting here chamber 1, then chamber 1 here we are going. Now this ammoniacal brine is getting this one is the carbonator, where carbon dioxide getting into is the carbon. After that, a process occurs here, which is filtration. You should know that in chamber 4. So chamber 4 is fill. So after filtration has taken it, and then this C is ammonium chloride, because when we filter, we know the two things that are formed here. The two products in the carbonator is sodium hydrogen carbonate, ammonium chloride. Those are the two, and this one goes to the roaster. So this chamber is called the roaster, and we can see clear that this ammonium chloride is getting to chamber 3, ammonia. After that concept like that, it becomes very easy to know what you are going to do. So if I know that, then I know D is chloride. Calcium chloride. D is calcium chloride. I know the reaction which is taking place here. It is ammonium chloride combining with calcium hydroxide from the silica. This one comes from this. So name the substances A, B, C, D. So A Ammoniacal what? Brine. Ammoniacal brine is a mixture of ammonia and sodium. If you have done the name, but you are asking the name, therefore you should give the name ammonium chloride, calcium chloride. A, B is not here, so B was carbonate. Score your marks. Write equation for the reaction. Now ammonium chloride combines with calcium hydroxide, ammonia first to generate water, and then the byproduct, which is calcium chloride. Aqueous, gas, liquid, aqueous. We have done with that equation. Chamber 5. Chamber 5 is the roaster. Roaster, it is sodium hydrogen carbonate being heated to give sodium carbonate, this one, water, and carbon 4. It gives sodium carbonate plus CO2 plus water. This one is a solid, gas, liquid. Filtration. The visco is drying. Name one source of cheap carbon dioxide for Solvay process. It is from limestone.